Welcome to the Vault Reviews series, where we do album reviews instead of podcasts for a change. You can check us out at thevaultreviews.com. Send us an email, thevaultmusic1@gmail.com. Send us a tweet on Twitter at thevaultmusic1. And, of course, facebook.com/thevaultrvws. Give us a like and share it with all your friends on Facebook. We have a YouTube page, so you can check out all our podcasts on YouTube if you want to go that route. But today we're going to be reviewing Alpha Omega by Cro-Mags, and Brent is going to be giving us his take on this album as well. And Brent, I know you don't normally listen to very much hardcore music, so what was this album like for you? Just it's a little bit different than probably the straight up stuff you'd heard before. Yeah,
I listen to I guess modern hardcore like Hatebreed and Throwdown and some stuff like that, but I don't get into a whole lot of. That's probably a little bit even different than this. I feel. I guess what's the good word? I feel better for the experience, although it wasn't exactly my personal favorite type of music. The lyrics, though, they caught me as kind of funny in places, hilarious in others, and insightful in others. So
yeah, I know that's exactly, and I kind of felt that way with the styles of the music that's portrayed on here as well.
Oh yeah, especially what is it, Eyes of Tomorrow?
Yeah, the like kind of rap stuff.
Yeah, the little scratches in the back. I was not expecting that at all. Whenever it's like Cro-Mags, all right, sweet. I haven't listened to them very much. This should be interesting. And then I hear scratching on the second song. It's like, really? Is this actually happening?
Yeah, and it wasn't like straight up rap, but it was. They definitely tried to get the cadences right, like it was a hip hop song. It was. I think this. Let's see. This album was released in 1992, I believe. Yeah. Yep. And so, this is a little bit after probably the first rap rock mix we had heard, but it's definitely an interesting album for me because I was used to the very first Cro-Mags album. This is their third, I believe. And the very first one was just kind of straight up fast New York hardcore. And then we got this, or there was another one in between, Best Wishes, I believe is what it was called. I think that's right on the timeline. But this one, it kind of got me some of the songs, the really, really awesome riffs, which I was not expecting. It was kind of more in vein of heavy metal, not hardcore.
A lot of the riffs were great, man.
Yeah, and
the first song, that like first riff is just awesome.
Yep. And that's just, they just kind of kept going, and I was a little thrown off. And then, like you said, that Eyes of Tomorrow song was one of the wild cards. Like, it's not bad, but right. We did that review last time on that Place of Skulls song that was just kind of awkward to us, and I kind of think this is the same way. Do you agree?
Yeah, it's, I don't know. This, like I said, this wasn't one of my favorite albums I've ever listened to, but it had some very good moments. So
I'll just let you kind of take the floor on this. Let's start with what were your highlights of the album like? What kind of stood out as being something you really liked?
Honestly, the guitar work. Every song actually had pretty good, solid guitar work. There was actually some solos that I really wasn't expecting when I thought Cro-Mags. I'm like you, my experience with Cro-Mags was basically their first album.
Right.
And even that, I never really dug in real hard, but I wasn't expecting, solos like there were on this one. And the lyrics, honestly, and I'm a big lyric guy. I know I've said this on like every single review we've ever done, but it was actually really interesting to kind of get the lyrical take on some of this stuff. And like I said, some of it was hilarious and some of it was really good. So
the only lyrics I could really pick out was on that song that we were just talking about, Eyes of Tomorrow. I mean, like once I got past his like rap cadence, I was like kind of listening to the lyrics and I was like, wow, he's actually talking about some stuff that matters, even though I kind of can't pay attention because of the rap cadence, which nothing against rap because I listen to a ton of it, but I mean, right. It's just, I wasn't expecting it. So yeah, I agree that the riffs were great. We talked about that just a second ago about it being kind of heavy metal. So what do you think of the style of vocals? Because that's one thing that I think really stands out on this album.
On some songs, I think they were great. On other songs, it almost sounded like his mouth was full of something. I don't know. It was almost kind of like I got a taste like he went to the dentist or something and left kind of the gauze in.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, but that's something I actually liked about it just because it was something that was completely different than anything that like, again, going back to that first Cro-Mags, we keep skipping Best Wishes, and I think their original singer, what's his name? John Joseph, that's his name.
Yeah.
He left after the first album. Then Harley Flanagan, the bass player, kind of picked up on Best Wishes, and that's kind of where I think that's mostly his vocals is what you're talking about. But and that's why I really like his vocals. We'll probably differ on there. So what on this album did you just couldn't stand, didn't like, or whatever?
Honestly, the song, it's number 7. It's just the 7th track. It's like Kuruk Cetra or whatever.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
The beginning of that song, I just wanted it to end. I'm not lying. That song just drove me nuts. Maybe it was the end of Victims. I don't know. I put it up on YouTube and just played the whole album and, wrote down thoughts with it as they were going. But anyway, there was some musical stuff in there that just was just real slow and just drove me nuts. I couldn't get into it at all. And like I said, his vocals, like there were times he was trying to actually sing, at least, get a little bit more melodious, I guess. And sometimes he hit it great. Like, let's see, what was the song? The Other Side of Madness. I actually enjoyed the vocal stylings on that. That was actually really well done. He hit the tones, held them good.
And that powerful riff that just kind of kicks you in the nuts.
Oh, yeah, it was great. But then there's like other songs, even like Apocalypse Now kind of bugged me, some of the vocal stuff. And just, like I said, I couldn't get past, it was almost, I kept thinking to, did you ever watch the movie Robin Hood Men in Tights?
Yeah.
Where they're like sitting there conspiring to get the archery tournament set up, and it's Dom DeLuise in there like talking about, getting it set up so they can kill Robin Hood.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can barely understand you. And he's like, yeah, I just went to the dentist and forgot to take out the cotton balls. I kept picturing that almost the whole time I listened to this. And on some songs, it was great. Like See the Signs, The Other Side of Madness, Paths to Perfection, and Victims, absolutely loved them. Great songs. The rest of it, honestly, was kind of forgetful, except for some, like, as far as, what I would want to listen to anyway. Except for the lyrics. Because I sat there and I pulled it up on YouTube, and then I pulled the lyrics up and just sit there and read the lyrics while I was listening to the songs. Because, like I said, I'm a big lyric guy. And the lyrics really stood out. Because, I don't want to say it this way and sound kind of bad about it. But sometimes, you get like punk lyrics and they don't seem very nuanced, I guess would be the best way to say it. It's just like, wanting to hit you in the head with it. And this was a little bit different than that. So, I actually really appreciated that.
Do you want to go a little bit further in depth on some of the lyrics? Like, because I will be honest, like I didn't really pay attention to any of the lyrics because, we've discussed that. I'm not a big lyric guy unless it's just Eyes of Tomorrow, that stood out. And Other Side of Madness, I can catch some a little bit. But what were the themes or topics or anything that stood out to you that you weren't expecting from a hardcore band?
Well, political stuff. You always kind of, at least I always usually expect a lot of political stuff with punk, kind of hardcore punk bands and everything. But they were very, like I said, they were very nuanced and very, very political. I thought that was really kind of, I didn't, necessarily agree with all of them and everything, but it was great. But the mix that got me is like the songs that weren't political, like I have written down is like Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was doing some research on the band and everything. Like I said, haven't ever been really a huge Cro-Mags fan. I've enjoyed some of their stuff, but so I was doing some research and stuff, and I guess that was actually kind of a big deal with one of them. I forget the name of the guy that really got into that stuff. It may have been their first singer, maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's John Joseph. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. And so just the whole mix of like, kind of political revolution type stuff, and then Hare Krishna, like kind of esoteric, spirituality. The mix just kind of cracked me up, and it was funny.
It's definitely, I could completely forgot that one of the members was into that, and it is kind of a catch-22. Like they're just kind of opposites, but I think that's something cool. I don't know about you, but hardcore is one of those genres that, unless it's got something that sounds different or maybe has a different message, if you're into lyrics, I think a lot of it just gets real stale real fast. It's like Hatebreed. I've said a million times I love them, but I can listen to one album and then I'm done for a month. So.
Right. Yeah, I'm the exact same way. Absolutely love them. I love the empowering lyrics and stuff that they have, but you get to the point that it's like, okay, I need variation. I need something else. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. So. What was your favorite song on this album, if you had to pick one?
Honestly, probably Paths of Perfection. just because it was different. The vocal stylings were completely different. Like there were almost two different styles going on in that song, and the Hare Krishna stuff just really cracked me up in that song. But the guitar was really good. Like I said, that one and the song "Victims," the lyrics literally could fit into today, and that really stood out to me. And they had like a weird random cowbell.
Yeah.
You're just going along, and all of a sudden there's a cowbell, and then it's just gone, and that's it. So that kind of cracked me up. But I think it was really good. My favorite part of the entire album, though, are the last 5 minutes. It's almost like, I don't know, some sort of experimental
the like
hardcore jazz ensemble thing. I mean, it was just awesome. I'm sitting there like listening to it, and it comes out of left field, and it's like, why couldn't the rest of the album been like this? This is great.
Yeah, it almost makes you want there to be like a hardcore jazz fusion band kind of, because I thought the same thing. I was listening to that, it's almost kind of like a secret song. There's like a short pause in between changes, and then that last jam. And I thought the same thing. I thought it was awesome. But my favorite song was Apocalypse Now, and I kind of stumbled onto it about a year or two ago on YouTube, and I hit play, and this just monstrous slow riff starts coming out of the speakers, and I'm like, holy cow! Like I knew the first Cro-Mags album. I was not expecting a heavy metal sound. I was expecting just the really fast riffs and the really fast drums, and this was like really slow and just crushing. And unlike you, I love the, whatever you want to call them, cotton balls or marbles in his mouth while he's singing, whatever.
Right.
I just really like it because I think it's something totally different. It's a vocal style that I haven't heard from maybe any other band.
Right.
And a lot of times it's stuff I like in music. It might not necessarily be that it's talent or it sounds good or something, but a lot of times just something that's just so different I end up liking just because the fact that it's completely different. So overall, what do you give this album on our classic 1 star being the worst, 5 stars being the best?
Honestly, I'm giving it a good solid 3. I played around with going like almost 3.5, but the vocals get too old listening through it, from 1 to the end. The guitar riffs almost made me put it up to a 3.5. Just because the guitar work is very well done. And the songs I really, really like. But again, there's only like 3 or 4 of them that I would really care to go back and listen to at any consistency. So I give it a good solid 3.
Yeah, that's pretty respectable. I mean, that's better than average. So I'm going to give it a 4. I would go higher. The guitar, because the guitar work is amazing. Just the tone that they get, the power. More of a metal sound. I wasn't expecting that, so that was really cool. And I like the variety, other than the kind of rap one like we talked about. Wasn't a huge fan of that, so I got to knock it. There's a couple other kind of slower songs I didn't really care for, but I didn't think there was anything just terrible. Even the songs that I didn't care for, I didn't think there was anything terrible. And like I said, got to give it a 4. The guitar works great. So that averages out to a 3.5, which is what you were going to give it in the first place.
Right. Yeah. So that's not too bad. Because, like I said, when I was doing research on this, I happened to cross a interview with one of the co-founders, I guess, with Harley. Is that the guy's name?
Yeah. It was probably John Joseph.
It was Paris or whatever.
Oh.
I think his name was Paris. He was the other guitar player.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He. Have you ever? I need to post that interview because that was actually rather interesting to read. He was not a fan.
Wow.
He actually goes on to accuse specifically this album that we're reviewing that they stole all of his riffs to do it, and that this was all his music and everything. And yeah, I was actually kind of shocked. I mean, I knew the history, where the guy went up and stabbed 2 members and all that, but. Yeah, it was actually a really kind of wild interview to read. So if you get a chance, I would definitely check it out. But he refuses to listen to anything Cro-Mags at all.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and he's the guy that I guess in every picture they have is always looking a different direction than the rest of the band.
Also, interesting point.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was pointed out in the interview. I think it was an interview with Noisy or something on Vice or whatever.
Yeah.
And either way, I was like, wow, this is really cool. I started getting into it. I'm like, wow, this guy does not, I got a little bit of arrogance out of the guy. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, but it was kind of interesting to hear his take and then actually listen to the album. And so it was kind of interesting. Like I said, I'll try to post that if I remember to do so.
All right, so another successful interview, guys. If you like what we're doing on reviews, go check us out on YouTube. That's where we got all our album reviews posted. And if you go into our website and you go into the Vault section where all the reviews are posted, you know, if you go into you can go into a band and view them there as well instead of reading, you know, for a change. We like to mix things up. So, yeah, definitely check out the YouTube page and hit us up on Twitter at The Vault Music One and Facebook.com/TheVaultRVWS. And if you like what we're doing and you want to support the show, head over to Patreon.com/TheVault. We got all kinds of cool stuff there that we'll give back if you feel like contributing monetarily. So with that, until the next review, see you next time.
Peace.